me mute everybody.
Denny? Okay.
Come on.
Okay. Merv, we're on.
All right.
Okay, this is Jason Whitney with 3Believe on April 20th in the year 2017. Good evening, everybody. I'm glad that you're here. Sorry that I wasn't in attendance last week, but I was definitely thinking of all of you. So let's talk a little bit, just a little bit reminder. You know, it's a good idea to get a redirection. Sometimes we get lost in some of our travels, and if you've ever heard the phrase, can't see the forest through the trees. And essentially what that means is we're right in the middle of this forest, and all we see when we're in the middle of a forest is trees. Well, what makes up the forest are the trees, but we don't see the forest because we got so many trees sitting in front of us. We're looking too myopic. So let's just step back for a minute and talk about what is it that we're providing and doing with this 3B business. Well, let me first just talk to you about something that you already know, or something you've already heard, or something that you know that you didn't realize that that you knew. And that is that if you put all the people that you love, all the people that you work with, and all the people you know in a room, 8 out of 10 of those people would have at least one of the following life-threatening health risks. That'd be overweight or obese, that have elevated cholesterol levels, that their joints would be sore, that have a fatty liver disease, which, by the way, is the precursor to cirrhosis of the liver, and that have high blood pressure, diabetes, or elevated glucose levels. Did you know that there's 6.5 million people walking around the earth right now, or not even the earth, in the United States, 6.5 million people that are diabetic that don't even know it. They haven't been to their doctor to have anyone tell them. And that's just those that are not reported. And then in that room, out of 10 people, 8 of them would have one of these issues I mentioned, and the highest one out of all of them would be digestive issues, stomach problems. And that's a problem. All those things. Now, you only need 2 of what I mentioned to be medically diagnosed as metabolic syndrome. So what does our program focus on? It focuses on what causes metabolic syndrome and how we can alleviate it. So what I just went through is that all the people you know and all the people you love, majority of them, 8 out of the 10, have the things that I just talked about. So do we have something that most people want? Do we have what most of the people you know and don't know are thinking about? A survey done that 88% of people in America think about their weight at least once every day. And 66% of the women that think about their bodies don't like their bodies. Well, that's just sad. That's not a good sign of a positive, healthy attitude about themselves. You know, the CDC has identified that 66% of Americans have a chance of dying from the issues that I mentioned above. At least the critical ones, not about sore joints, not about digestive disorders, but all the others. And this does not have to happen to your loved ones. It doesn't have to happen to the people that you love. Studies have absolutely confirmed that the things that I've talked to you about in this short couple of minutes are completely reversible and preventable. It doesn't have to be this way. It wasn't handed down to you from your grandma and grandpa, your mom and dad. It is by choice, and it's by choice because of the things that we eat. And the studies show that we can overcome it with no medication, no operations, and by doing it through delicious, healthy, whole foods. So see, the secret is the balance of the macronutrients. how much protein, how much fat, and how many carbohydrates. It's not a secret juice or berry or ointment or tonic from a forest in a faraway land. It's just the balance of those three things: fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. So I came into this business as a food scientist. I specialize in the treatment or the formulation of functional food for the treatment of metabolic syndrome. We've been doing this for 9 years now, and we've been selling it and providing this to doctors and clinics all over the country, even to some outside the country. And so that's where we got our we cut our teeth, so to speak. That's where we got our specialty. And after 9 years, there's still companies that cannot do what we do. We have proprietary technology that enables us to do what we do. So how good are we at what we do? Well, let me read you a letter I have right here from a doctor. Now, this is not just any doctor. This is a research doctor with also a practice. Now, let me explain what that means. You have physicians that they hang up their shingle and they work for a hospital, and they perform services, medical services of the trade that they specialize in. Sometimes they're medical doctors, sometimes they treat metabolic symptoms, sometimes they're a pediatric doctor. They have specialties, right? Well, there are those that are bariatric doctors, and then there's also those that are research doctors. What that means is they specialize, they have extra training in how to do research, how to do discoveries, and how to test out equipment or medications or symptoms and diseases. And they have special knowledge and experience in that field. This letter is from a doctor that is a MD, a research physician, as well as a DO, a doctor of osteopath, specializing in bariatric medicine. Now, bariatric medicine means treating people with that are overweight, which means also all the other symptoms of metabolic syndrome. So high blood pressure, cholesterol, and diabetes in addition. So here's this letter. And I'm going to stop every once in a while and explain some of the content in this letter so that it's more clear to you. Here's a testimony, one of my favorites from a physician. I am writing this letter in reference of the 3B dietary weight loss protocol and program. I would highly recommend the addition of this company as an exhibitor at our next ASBP, that stands for National Association of Bariatric Physicians. It's the largest organizational group of bariatric physicians in the world, at our next conference. Now, what that means is they want us to be a speaker talking about what we do. As a board certified bariatrician and member of the society, he's a fellow. What that means, he sits on the board of the National Association for Bariatrics. He's a big deal. I have spent a great deal of time researching and the management and treatment of obesity and the symptoms associated with diabetes and metabolic syndrome. Through my research and clinical experience, I have found that the 3B protocol and products to be unique and singular in their formulations. Now, what that means is unique and singular. Singular being that there is not another formulation out there that matches what we have. He's been practicing for 20 years. He's been a research scientist for 20 years. And in the last 20 years, he hasn't found anyone? Well, kudos to us, but that's also sad. Why are we the only ones? That's just sad. That means too many people have been left without being treated properly. He continues, unique and singular in their formulations, methodologies, and I am impressed to find that they are in harmony with the latest research. Now let me talk to you about that comment. I was at another conference when I got a call from a physician, and I recognized the number. I came out of the conference to answer the call, and he said, how in the world, this is how he opened up the conversation. He said, how in the world do you do it? And then paused. I wondered, I looked around like I had done something wrong, like a little kid caught with his hand in a cookie jar. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, I am at a national conference for physicians, and I just heard 3 talks over the last 4 hours of specialties and specialists in their field giving us the latest cutting edge research. Some of the research is so raw, so new that it hasn't even put into public paper yet for other doctors to review it. It's hot off the press, so to speak. And they said they're talking about the formulation, the needed levels of certain nutrients in order to overcome the symptoms of metabolic syndrome, and you already have it. How in the world do you do it? How do you have this information? And we're just, as doctors and scientists, we're just getting this information now. How do you already have it? Not only the knowledge of it, but how do you already have it in your products? And well, I just scratched my head and said, because we do a lot of research, and we do a lot of testing, and so we can come to market faster than some of the research that hits the awareness of the educated community. We do not slow down with the stuff that's the best stuff out there. So that's what he's talking about here when he says that we are ahead of the game in the latest research. He continues. There are very few companies that offer products that comply with a truly low carbohydrate diet approach and of all of the current standards. The 3Believe program is the only program I have found in line with effective approach to weight loss. Now he's talking about weight loss, but we know that it deals with other things. I have been operating a clinic with the products in my practice for the last 3 years, and have found it to be the most successful program available in the management of and treatment of obesity and metabolic syndrome. Wow. Thank you very much for that letter. That is fantastic. I have and will post these testimonies on our site. So we will have on our website, we've hired a person that knows the code they'll work in our office, and to be able to put all those testimonies up. I will be using testimonies that talk about many different topics. I will try to organize them in a way that will be useful to you, meaning you can go in and select a specific topic, say diabetes, or inflammation, or stomach disorders, or cholesterol, or weight, or just feeling good, having more energy. They'll be in topics, so you don't have to read through every single testimony. I know that I, as a reader, as a consumer, I don't like to read through all the testimonies that I don't have a particular interest in, though they may be impressive. I want to go to a specific topic that will be alphabetical. And so if you see some that are duplicated, that is why. Because one testimony may talk about 2 or 3 different topics, right? So that is why they'll be alphabetical and they'll be duplicated. So they'll be up very, very shortly. And I came across receiving this testimony, and I thought I would share it with you, my friends. It is inspiring to me. It often brings me a great emotion when I hear the testimonies. It motivates me. It inspires me to continue on with the work that we're doing. I plead with you. I know that there are many people on the call, whether it be webinar or by telephone that have received a testimony. It doesn't matter what it is, what the topic is, whether it be financial benefits, we'll have those type of testimonies too, or it be the different type of benefits that you have. Please send them to us. That is information that you shouldn't have all to yourself. You should share it, and let's post it. Let's use that so that we can all benefit from it. So I have some topics I want to talk about. Let's talk about something that I thought I made clear. I will take full responsibility that perhaps I didn't make it as clear as I should. So I'm going to make it more clear here on this call so that it is forever in the archives of the company. Talking about commissions for the smart foods. Now, there are several people that have received commissions from December, January, February, and now March. I'll talk about the ACH in a moment, but you have not received any commission for any of the sales of the smart food items. Now, the reason why is because the smart food items, to be quite honest with you, cost more to produce per dollar than the powder and the oil. We have more automated equipment. There's not as much, as expensive as the ingredients are. Labor is much greater on the actual food portions than anything else. And we don't have as much automated equipment for automated foods because sometimes there's just no other way to make it than by hand. And the other side, to be honest with you, we're not a multi-billion-dollar companies, and so we don't have the latest and greatest automated equipment, though that we have much, and we will get more as time goes on. Our labor cost is still the most significant cost with our smart foods. So quite frankly, our profit margin is not as good as it is on our meal replacement and our profit. Therefore, I cannot give as high of a commission. So to make it simple, so that when you're talking to someone about how you get paid in this business, or you yourself just want to be able to keep it straight in your head, I want you to be able to know how much you're getting paid when you sign someone up for the first month. It's 45% for that first month, no matter what they buy, right? And it's 20% every month after. On the next level, it's 5% of whatever that person signs up, and then it's 10% on the third level. That's 35%, not counting the first month, right? And so I don't want you to have to say, well, I understand that the smart foods are not as profitable, but on the rolls, I don't get paid 20%, I get paid 16%. But on the pot pies, I get 12.5%. You know, it just would be too confusing. And so I want you all in your mind be able to say, we're going to get paid 25 and 10. So what I will do to be able to maintain that standard is that the product value will be different. So every one of the smart foods will have a different product value, or identified as PV. For example, if we have a food item that sells at $10, that's the price that you buy it for. You won't get paid on $10 or 20% of the $10, let's just propose that it will be $8. You'll get 20% of the $8. In other words, the PV, or the product value, will be $8 instead of 10. What we'll do is, to maintain the same percentages of your commission, we will adjust the product value. I will work in every one of those numbers separately. What this also allows us to do is that as we improve and as we expand and as we get new equipment and our labor costs drop because of that, then I'll be able to go back in and increase the PV, or the product value, of that individual item. So expect that those things will increase over time. We have installed some new equipment. It takes quite a long time to, it's not just plug it into the outlet and run it. You got to set it up, and you got to get other equipment, and you got to get it tested. And because we're certified by several food agencies, they have to be tested and have to make sure that OSHA runs their test to make sure that it's all safe. And we get our certificates because that's who we are, where we do things properly. It takes a couple of months to be able to do that. And so you can expect to have the PB established very soon. That will be set up. When I'm getting all reports back, that will be able to be done by the end of the month. So what does that mean then, now that we've explained the point value and why you haven't been paid on the smart foods? The third part of this discussion is, will you get paid on the smart foods? Yes. Once the PV is established, all previous sales on all smart foods made will be figured, and you will be back paid for all of it. So all that has been purchased, we have records of all of it, so we've kept all that. All I have to do is just plug it into the computer, the point value, and then commissions will be run, and then you'll be paid for those. So that hopefully addresses all the questions you have on the smart foods. Continue to use them and promote them at will, knowing that you will be compensated and paid for those as well. Let's talk about some things that there's been a little bit of a question on. For example, when is it that we should switch from phase 1 to phase 2, 3, and 4? Well, the phases of the diet is based on one essential goal. My goal is not to have you lose weight. My goal isn't even to have you get rid of your blood pressure or your cholesterol. I look a little bit farther. I look past those trees. I look at the forest, and that means I want you to overcome why you have high blood pressure or why you have excess weight. Why do you have type 2 diabetes? And so if I focus on you overcoming the symptoms and the core problem of why you have those issues, then I've really helped you overcome the source rather than just treating the symptom. There's a major, major difference. And so that means that I care more about your pancreas, normalizing the levels of insulin so it's secreting the right amount when you do have glucose. I want your liver to respond appropriately with its enzymes and its metabolism of all your macronutrients. That means your fats, your proteins, and your carbohydrates. Right now, unless you've been on the protocol for a while, it is not operating the way it's supposed to be. It has toxins in it. It's over fat. You have fatty liver disease of some level, and I want that to be no more than 5% by weight of fat. And then the last is your digestion. Studies show that the average American is only digesting and absorbing 47% of the foods they're eating. Well, that's terrible. That's like going to get gas and you're paying 100% for the gas that you're getting, but your car only gets 47% of the gallons you're putting in it. Well, that's just silly. You wouldn't stand for that, so why do you stand for you absorbing only 47% of the nutrients that you're eating? And that's what my job is. So if I handle those three issues, all kinds of great things are happening. And so I move you through phase 1, phase 2, phase 4. In general sense, phase 1 is the correction stage. If once you finish phase 1, which in the worst case scenario, you will be done with phase 1 in 12 weeks. Studies show, why do I say 12 weeks? Studies show that if you have the most miscalibrated pancreas, and you have the fattest liver, that it can be normalized and defattened in 12 weeks. So that's why we have phase 1 lasting 12 weeks. Phase 2 and phase 3 are a reintroduction back into a more familiar eating habit, meaning when you're in phase 1, the studies are very, very clear that you cannot have more than 20 grams excuse me, of carbohydrates per day. Now that's all carbohydrates excluding fiber. Fiber is a carbohydrate, but it's just not a dietary carbohydrate, meaning you don't metabolize it, you don't absorb it. You don't get any calories from it. And so, excuse me, hope you're drinking your water. Remember, on your protocol, you got to have, take your weight and divide it in half. That's how many ounces of water you should be drinking every single day. So phase 1 goes through the 12-week period of time, right? And that will normalize your pancreas and your liver. Phase 2 and phase 3 are the corrective phase that reintroduces you back into what you are familiar to, a more normal diet. Studies show that you have to have less than 20 grams of carbohydrates per day. Now, carbohydrate is identified by a complex carb and a simple carb. Now, a complex carb, for example, is every carb that's not a sugar. So let's say strawberries, that's a simple carb. Whole wheat bread, that's a complex carb. Okay, and so you add all those together, you can't have more than 20 in a day's time. To give you an idea how much that is, 20 grams is about 1 slice of bread. I'm not talking a thick slice, not a Texas loaf. I'm talking about a regular slice of bread. That's about 20 grams of carbohydrates. You drink 1 can of pop, depending on the pop, but that's about 36 grams of carbohydrates, and those would be simple carbs. Some of them are as high as 56 grams of carbohydrates. So we're really reducing down. The average American male is consuming 456 grams of carbohydrates a day, and I'm taking you from 456 down to 20. And so it's a big drop, but I got to have you there for 12 weeks. Once you're done, that's phase 1. I move you into phase 2. I increase your carbohydrates, and you move into a higher carbohydrate diet. Phase 3 is just simply introducing more carbohydrates again. Phase 4 is your maintenance phase. That's your lifestyle phase. You're in that for the rest of your life. Phase 2 and phase 3 are 3 weeks apiece. So 12 weeks for phase 1, 3 weeks for phase 2, 3 weeks for phase 3. So you add those up, how long are you in the program? 18 weeks. Now, is it possible that you don't need to be in for 18 weeks? Absolutely. You may not have the worst pancreas as far as its secretion of insulin, and your liver may not be the fattest one out there. But I tell everybody to psychologically plan on being in it for 18 weeks, because we want to overcome those symptoms in order to rid us of this problem for good, so that we don't have to deal with it anymore. So the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 is an 18-week program. Phase 4 is just lifestyle. In phase 4, you'll be on about, if you follow my recommendations, which are the recommendations of the clinical studies, you'll be on about 210 to 260 grams of carbohydrates a day, maximum. That's less than half of what the average American male is getting. That's how overdone carbohydrates are in this country. Now, some of you may say, now wait, Jason, wait a minute. I read all the time and hear from nutritionists that carbohydrates are the staff of our life. It simply is not true. They do say that, but it's not backed up by clinical studies. Are carbohydrates evil? They are not evil. They are quite useful, but they're not essential. Now, when you're talking about essential, meaning something you just gotta have, There's lots of vitamins and minerals, but not all of them are essential. Some our bodies can do without because they can make them or they can assimilate them. A carbohydrate will never has been called an essential macronutrient. Look it up. It doesn't exist. It doesn't matter what medical journal, scientific review you look at, the word essential carbohydrate is never put together in the same sentence because it's not essential. Everything that we can get from a carbohydrate, your body can get from a protein or from an essential fatty acid. So therefore it's not essential. You will find in medical journals and nutritional manuals that there are essential fatty acids, that's our fats, and essential amino acids, that's our proteins, because we cannot live without them. So you'll be just fine on 12 weeks in phase 1 with only 20 grams of carbohydrates. In fact, you'll find that if you cheat before your program's over, you won't feel so well. You won't feel optimum. Your body does not like going back to that many carbohydrates. You'll actually get sick. That should be a notice to you and listening to your body that something's not quite right with your body when you consume that much. Now, I've been on the protocol for 9 years now. I live in a phase 2, phase 3 protocol. I don't live in a phase 4. Why? Because I just don't feel optimum when I'm in it. Even 200 grams a day is too many for me. I just don't like it. I get stiff, my joints, my stomach doesn't feel as well, I get a little foggy in my head. I just perform better with less, and I believe that you will too, but you won't harm yourself by having a little bit more than that. I'm just telling you my personal experience and the experience of many others. So that's the phases outlined and what they are. Now let's talk about when do you move from one to the other. Phase 1 typically is designed that you'll lose 90% of your desired fat. Now you notice I mentioned fat and not weight because I don't want you to lose weight, I want you to lose fat. I want you to increase your water weight because most of you are dehydrated, and I want you to increase or at the very least maintain your muscle mass, and most diets clinically proven will lose muscle mass, bone density, and hydration during the weight loss. They will lose some fat, but most of it's the prior components and not the unhealthy fat. That's not a healthy diet. In fact, it's been shown that it's better not to go on a diet if that's the kind of diet you're going to do. So let's go back to why then. That's exactly why I wanted you and require you to get the scale when you sign up as a sales representative. If you're going to do this as a business, then treat it as a business. You need to be a product of the product. You also need to be able to be knowledgeable and say, I know, and this diet does represent that you will lose the right kind of weight when you're on it because I have the scale to prove it. And you can't do that any other way than with the scale that I have. I've gone the extra mile just to sweeten the pot that if you go ahead and spend that extra money to get the scale, I will reimburse you $95 for that bio kit and that scale in any of this credit if you just sign up 4 people in your first 30 days. Well, if you remember the letter or the quote that I gave you in the very first open, 8 out of 10 of the people you know have the symptoms of metabolic syndrome. 88% of those people think about their weight every single day. So I know you have at least 5 people that you know, and all you have to do is get 4 of them, and I will pay for that that good business package that you have to have in order to be successful. So phase 90% of your weight or 90% of your blood pressure, 90% of your desired cholesterol levels, 90% of your glucose levels to be achieved, desired levels in phase 1. Now, blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood will be achieved much sooner than 12 weeks. Those of you that have been on it, that have those symptoms, have already experienced that. Those that have maybe 60, 80, 100 pounds to lose are the only ones that will have that, the requirement to extend phase 1 past the 12 weeks period of time. For example, if you have 100 pounds to lose, can you lose that in 12 weeks? No, it's going to take you a little bit longer, so you'll be an extended than 12 weeks in phase 1. That's okay. We have a woman that just lost 120 pounds. It took her 14 months. So she was in phase 1 for 14 months. That's okay. You can only lose so much weight in a given period of time. And so remember that when you're talking to people or you're thinking about how long the program's going to last for you. Phase 2 and phase 3, you stay in them for 3 weeks each because that's how long the studies show that your body needs to adapt. You cannot go from phase 1 to phase 4. If you go from 20 grams to 200 grams without going through phase 2 and phase 3, what the studies show is that your pancreas has a memory, much like your muscle. It will remember how it responded to glucose or insulin secretion when it saw the glucose in your bloodstream, which represented 200 grams that you're eating all of a sudden, and it will go back to how much it was secreting when it was hyperinsulemic. You do not want that. You will gain weight quickly and you'll be right back into the mess again. You have to go through phase 2 and phase 3. In fact, the studies show, and I can represent, that phase 3 is the most important phase out of all of them. If you really want to kick this and get this in your past, you have to go through phase 3. It's just absolutely necessary. It's just the way our metabolism works. That's what the studies show. We can't ignore the studies. So phase 2 and phase 3 is not based on any of your progress. It's just based on time. It's a time element. You're there for just 3 weeks. And then phase 4 is your lifestyle. What is it? It is 1 shake a day, and 1 day a week you have your treat day. You go and eat anything you want all day long. I will tell you that it's unlikely that you'll eat it, all the naughty foods all day long, because you just don't feel like it. But if you do, that's okay. The very next day you go on phase 1 for 1 day only. That 1 day cleans everything up that you had on your previous treat day, all the excess fat, carbs, and junk that you ate. The phase 1 for 1 day will clean all that out. You'll go right back. Your pancreas will not snap back to its old previous self. Your liver will not suddenly get fat. And that way you get to indulge in all the foods that you've ever wanted, at least 1 day weekly. And that worked out to be a very successful program. You'll maintain your weight, you'll maintain your blood pressure and cholesterol levels, and you'll also be happy because you're not denied the foods that you love to eat, though they may not be the healthiest foods. So that's why we do the program in a 4-phase protocol. Let's go 1 step further. Some of you have asked, what formula? How do I know what formula I should be using? Because we have a P22, a P6, and a P3. Without going into long depth explanation, because I've talked about this before, how I came to those formulas are designed to keep you effectively overcoming the symptoms of metabolic syndrome because of your digestive quality. Right now, when you start the diet, you're digesting about 47% of the macronutrients that you're getting. Why are you only doing 47%? It's because of your flora. Flora is just another way of saying you don't have enough digestive enzymes in your gut, in your stomach, to break down all the things that you're eating. So in every shake, I'm giving you the most complex enzyme blend and probiotic of any other product on the market. No one's matched ours yet. I hope that someone does, because then we'll have to make a new one, then we'll make it even better. But so right now, it's the most complex, giving you all that you need, so that by the end of about 6 weeks, or 4 to 6 weeks, you are digesting 98, 99% of the macronutrients that you are eating. That is unheard of. However, that's the way you were designed to consume your food. So if I left you at the P22, your body would be absorbing too much of the proteins. It would then take the extra amino acids that your body doesn't need because you're digesting a higher ratio of what you're eating, and it would turn it into glucose. Therefore, you'd get an insulin spike from your pancreas. It'd kick you out of ketosis. That's where the state we want to be in for all these good things to happen, and you would plateau and you would no longer have any success. And so to prevent that, I reduced down the protein amount, increase and change the enzyme formula now that you have a different gut, and move you to Pro 6. And then I move you to Pro 3. I'm 210 pounds. I am 13.5% body fat, and I am on Pro 3. And it maintains my muscle mass. I don't lose any. So how do you know when you should move? I suggest to you, which is why we put in your starter kit, the first 2 weeks you're on P22, and then you get a P6 in your kit. And then I recommend that everyone should be on P6 at 2 weeks into the protocol. From there, you have to order. I don't automatically change your auto delivery to P3. I let that be you that orders it. What guide do you use? The scale I sent you and the muscle mass that it tells you you are. So the muscle mass you have, if you're decreasing 3 weeks, 4 weeks in a row, then you need to increase back to a higher P value. In other words, let's say you're on the P3 and your muscle mass is decreasing 3 weeks, 4 weeks in a row. If that's the case, then you need to go back to the P6. If you're on P6 and your muscle mass is decreasing 3 weeks, 4 weeks in a row, then you need to go back to the P22. Does that make sense? It's really very simple. That's another reason why I have you get the scale. How else would you know? I'm a smart guy, but I just can't put the phone up to my ear and listen to you and then have you I know how much you should be having. I'm just not that smart. I don't have that much intelligence. So I give you the measurement tool that you can do it because that's what science has told us how we should measure it. So that's why I give it to you. So hopefully that explains the different formulas and the different phases. We're getting really close to being out of pre-launch. We haven't talked about it in a little while. We talked about essential oils that will be launched out after we're pre-launch. Now please don't expect it's going to be the next day. It'll take us a little bit of time, but I won't introduce it until then. And we also talked about starting the pet food line. Now, I know that some of you kind of scratched your head and thought, why in the world would Jason want to introduce in a direct sales network company pet food? No one does it. Well, there's a lot of things that we do that no one has done. But let me just tell you why. Out of the nutritional world, the single fastest growing segment, faster than sports medicine, faster than vegan, faster than organic, faster than any other nutritional health realm, the fastest growing segment is pet food. It's just growing fast. It's huge. In fact, let me do some comparison. Now, I'm not putting down essential oils, but right now the essential oil market is about $10.5 to $11 billion on the worldwide market. That's how big it is. That's a lot of money, $11 billion. Let's talk about, and that's in the world. Let's talk about pet food. So pet food sales in just United States, not the world, is almost 61 billion. It's 6 times bigger. In fact, 60 7% of Americans have at least one pet. That's a big market. Not 61% of people are already buying or want to buy essential oils. So it's already a big established market. You know people, you might be a person that loves your pet more than some of the people you know. Isn't that true? Well, pets are almost like family members. Some of them consider them family members. And they suffer from the same things that us humans do. Obesity, digestive disorders, diabetes, high blood pressure, and cholesterol. All of you that have had inflammation, arthritis, you go to your vet and they start quoting the same things that that you have or you've heard other people having. And so it's a giant market. No one has food that is alleviating those issues, and so we'll be the first one to introduce it. So that's why I talk about pet food. It's a great opportunity, and if you're talking to somebody that doesn't have metabolic syndrome issues and they don't care so much about their health, you have a 66% chance that they have a pet and they care about their animal. Now, probably I won't have any tropical fish food. If you're horses, probably won't have any horse food. Less than 2% of Americans have a horse, so it's a small market. And probably won't be bird food. I don't know how to make that seed have the right components. But that's okay because only 3% of Americans have birds. So we'll just deal with cats and dogs for right now. And that makes up the 67% that I told you about. So we've covered a lot of material in a short period of time. I'm going to turn on the microphone and open it up for 3 questions, as is our tradition. Merv, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, sir. Do you have a question for me? Did I miss anything that I should have talked about?
You covered most of it.
Good, good. All right.
Good.
Do you have
Very
a
good.
question or a question that you know someone's asked you?
Anybody have any questions? Why ask Jason if you have a question. Go ahead.
I do.
I have a. Let the lady go. Ladies
All right.
first.
Yes, what is your, okay, so getting started in this, we want to get out there and sell the program to people. Do you have kind of like a one-page sales pitch thing that we can look at or study or know? So we know what to say and how to open the conversation about this
You're
whole
talking
thing.
about brochures or pamphlets.
Yes.
Well, and just talking to people too, going around door to door, talking to people about this.
Yes. What I'll be doing is what the question is, in case someone didn't quite hear, is the question is what kind of sales literature, what kind of promotion information will we have, do we have, and what kind of advice can I give that's a good attention grabber? What are the questions that most people have? We've been in this for 9 years. We've dealt with tens of thousands of people through doctors' offices. I know what professionals ask for. We know what people ask for. And so we have a good handle on what works and what people ask about. The answer is yes, we have some material. It has all been designed their company name, and so it's being redesigned, rescripted for 3Believe. And so we'll be having some electronic literature that you can download off the site. We'll also have where you can order if you want an actual pamphlet form, if you don't want it to print out on your own computer, or if you don't want to email it to someone, you actually want to hold it in your hand in case you like the face-to-face. We'll have that as well, and you can purchase those. Of course, the electronic version will be for free. The ones that we have printed, I'll just do those at cost. We're not in the printing business. We're not in the promotion business, so we don't need to make any money on that. So we'll do those for whatever it costs us to produce. And so there'll be some great material. I will tell you that I've hinted to the fact that that we'll be helping you actually promote your business from several different forums. One of them is a program that I actually developed years ago called seed selling. It's a methodology of selling without the traditional sales approach. I'm not going to go into a long depth about it, but this I will promote it and tell you how good it is. We time and times again, hundreds of times, have taken a person that has no sales experience, they actually don't speak well in front of people, and turn them into a highly effective salesperson. Why did we develop this? Because when we go into doctor's offices, the person at the counter, the doctor, or the assistant, or their staff members, the last thing that they've been trained in is to be a salesperson. The last thing they want to be is a salesperson. They just, it's not something that's natural to them. And yet, in the real world of a doctor's office, they have to be able to sell the dietary program to the patients that are walking through the door. It's not the doctor that's selling it. The doctor just tells them what to do, right? And so we had to develop a program that was easily learned and easily assimilated and comfortable without turning them all into salespeople. And it is so successful. You will love it. We will do it in video format. There'll be segments, and they'll learn the seed selling. I'm working on it right now. I have a staff of 3 people that I've hired to take the content and put it into video. You will see me on some of it. And it'll be, most often it'll be 2 people doing like a dialogue, so you'll see an example conversation. Now before that, we will have the printed material available to you, and it'll be very simple. So watch for that coming out. Now that we have hired a person to be able to put stuff into our website, you'll see that coming out very shortly. What's another question?
Hi, Jason.
Yes.
Night.
Bob Price here. I talked to you before, and you had a chart or information sheet that was probably about 28 pages long, and you was going to simplify that before you get it out to us. Because something like that I thought would be very well for if you went to a gym or places of this nature, and it'd be more information for them to be able to digest. And I know you said you were going to work on that to make it more of a shorter form or easier to be able to read.
Is the one you're talking about, is that where I went through the ingredients, what made the CMR different, unique?
Well, I know that there's quite a bit. One is for your, I guess, for blood pressure, your kidneys, or what different things. But you was talking about the different enzymes and how it affected the body. But it was about 28 pages long, I believe. And then you was going to try to make a simplified form that people could go to and be
Sure.
easier to digest.
Yeah, I recall. What it was is that it was a document that we produced for physicians and for their staffs. Because we have the most complex formula on the market, we have almost 80 ingredients that we put into the shake that you drink every day. It can become quite confusing and laborious in explaining to someone how awesome it is. You know, there's a drink out there or a powder out there, and they'll talk about it's high in antioxidant or it's high in fiber. It has, you know, good protein. Well, we have nearly 80 ingredients that we can brag about, and so the story gets really long. And so this paper was produced, and it has supporting material, meaning scientific studies that shows that the actual ingredient, not the concept that will drive high blood pressure down, for example, or cholesterol levels down. Not if you use a product like this, at the right ratio, it can drop cholesterol levels. Actually, this particular ingredient, this actual product will have this result. That's what this paper is. And it explains why ours is different. Not a concept, but actually clinical studies. And so, yes, I started doing just as you described, simplifying that and putting that out so you can have it. To be honest with you, I was slightly delayed because of the generational bonus commission plan that I have been working diligently on. You haven't heard me talk about it. It just, things sometimes take longer. I have been working about every day on that issue, not all day long, but trying to crunch the numbers. And you know me, I'm a detailed person, and when I say something, I want to be able to back it up with credentials and facts. And we're done with that now. I just need to now put it in manual form. I actually talked to Merv about it this evening, and he likes what he hears. He thinks it's a great program, and so that's why it's been delayed. Now that that's done, I'm going to turn that over to the artist. They'll do their thing and make it look pretty, and then I'll get back onto that product. That too will be available. Since I'm almost completed, that will be before the sales literature that I talked about a couple of minutes ago. One more question.
Jason?
Yes, sir.
Jason? Yeah, Dean of Iowa. Two things. The program tonight that you put on is, in my view, worthy of making a CD that we could purchase to give out to people, and as they could use it while they're riding down the road or whatever it might be, instead of their ear to the phone every minute. And number two is I'm one of the people that I said I don't need to lose fat, I need to gain muscle. You sort of tweaked the program a little bit for me to do that. And I've gained now during this pre-launch period 4.5% of my weight, and it is in muscle because my waist has not changed. Anyway, I didn't have any fat.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad that you.
Yeah,
it's
fantastic.
Talking to you.
Yeah,
That's super.
And I thank you for that, because I lost a lot of muscle weight last year. I was so busy in my profession and so important that I wasn't eating well. I wasn't eating enough food.
Boy,
and so
see, and I'm going to do a plug here, Dean. Will you please give me an email? Send it to Jason at 3Believe.com. Your testimony, the details. The more details,
you bet.
The more details, the better. Let's share that. But let me talk to everybody about quickly what that means. What he just said. Now, here's an individual. I think you're 82 years young.
92.
How old?
I'm 92. I told you I wanted to get back to 90. You said people say they feel younger. I'd like to get back to 90.
92.
So much better than 92.
Yeah, not 82, 92. Very good.
Yeah.
So here's a man that is suffering from what is called scarpopenia. So that is a reduction of muscle mass and skeletal bone connective tissue. That's not good, all right? Now doctors would tell you that's normal. That's normal for a 92-year-old man. Well, it may be normal, but it's not desired. I don't want to live a normal life. I want to live an excellent life. I want to live an exemplary life. And so we talked about how he can increase his muscle mass, and he's increased it. Do you know how hard it is to increase muscle mass? And you said 4 pounds?
Really hard.
Is that 4 pounds, right?
4.5% of my
I'm sorry,
body weight. I've gained.
So
yeah, on the way to, I went clear down to 130 pounds from 150, and I'm on the way back up.
How wonderful! Wow. So that comes out to be right around about actual 4 pounds. Okay. So to increase that much muscle mass is an amazing thing. Now here, being on the same product How in the world does the same product achieve the opposite result to weight loss? Now, I did tell him I changed up his frequency and his oil content. I did change his formula. I didn't want him on P3 or P6. I wanted him on P22, right? But how is it that his body responds? It's because of the simple fact that in each one of the meal replacement shakes, your body's getting the essential building blocks that it needs to repair itself. I want to pat myself on the back all day long about what a genius formula this is, but the fact really remains that it's the body that's the genius. It takes only what it can be given and do its magic. If it doesn't have those building blocks, it simply can't do it. So all I'm doing is I'm giving it its building blocks, and it's the miracle of your body that's making these things happen. What a wonderful thing. I'm so pleased to hear that. That is fantastic. And I want to hear about it and share that news with other people. What a great, great thing to hear and end the night with. Merv, I think that's a perfect thing to end the night with. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Good. Good call. Super, super, super call. Very good.
Oh, and let me address that about a CD. Let me talk to our IT people and talk about some best option for a CD option of the things that we have here. Let me figure that out, and I'll get back to you on that. In the meantime,
That would make a good. That'd make a good CD. That'd be fantastic.
all right. Well, we'll take. Let's talk about that. I'll think about it and see what options there are, and we'll figure something out. Again, I thank you all. You're wonderful. You're an inspiration to me. You keep me going, keep me doing what I'm doing. You're working me to the bone. I tell you, you people here with 3 are working me to death. If it wasn't for this wonderful food, I wouldn't be able to do it. And so you're a great bunch of people. I love being in your company. I love having you inspire me, and wish you all God bless you. And please send me your testimony. Thank you, and good night.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jason. God bless you.
Thank you.
All right, great call.
Good night, everybody, and God bless you. Good night.